Jessica, we're short on rent again. Just for this month, please. Mom's phone calls always began with the same pattern. It had been going on for 6 years, ever since I received my first paycheck at 22. At first, it was just for 3 months. Dad had lost his job, and the support began with the promise of just until we get back on our feet. But 3 months became 6 months, then a year, and before I knew it, 6 years had passed. $1,600 per month, $1,200 for rent, $150 for utilities, $100 for phone bills, $150 for car insurance. The amount automatically deducted from my salary supported my parents' lifestyle. Jessica, you're our savior, Mom would often say. But saviors are supposed to be appreciated. Yet all I felt was exhaustion. The demands escalated. We need $2,000 for car repairs. We can't pay the medical bills. I want to buy Christmas presents. With each emergency, my savings were drained. Money that should have gone to my daughter Olivia's college fund disappeared into my parents' bottomless demands. Meanwhile, my sister Haley contributed nothing. Haley's struggling. She has 2 children, Mom would say, but seeing her with a new purse made my chest tighten. There were family gatherings I alone wasn't invited to. My parents said they were too busy to attend Olivia's 2nd birthday party, yet they rushed to Haley's son's soccer game the same weekend. I calculated late at night, $121,840 over 6 years. The amount I should have saved for Olivia's future. More than half my annual income flowed to them every year. But they were family, blood relatives. I kept telling myself that. And last night, everything changed. Mom, could you watch Olivia for just one night during tomorrow's presentation? This presentation was crucial for my career. A promotion to senior marketing director was at stake. I absolutely had to succeed for Olivia's better future. On the other end of the phone, Mom's voice suddenly turned cold. Jessica, we're not your babysitters. We're done raising children. I couldn't believe my ears. After 6 years of sending $1,600 every month and providing thousands more in emergencies, she was refusing to babysit for just one night. But we talked about this. You always say family comes first, don't you? I said we'd talk about it, not that we'd do it. There wasn't a trace of guilt in Mom's voice. She rejected my request as if it were her natural right. After hanging up, I couldn't accept it and visited my parents' house with 2-year-old Olivia. Daniel carried the overnight bag for me. Mom's face froze when she saw Olivia's pink duffel bag as she opened the door. What's this? Mom's voice dropped several degrees. Mom, these are Olivia's things for tonight. Remember my presentation? Mom's arms crossed firmly over her chest. Jessica, I told you, we're done raising children. That's when children's laughter exploded from inside the house. Jessica, this isn't a good time. But I pushed past Mom and entered the house, following the sound toward the living room. I could feel Mom frantically following behind me. I gasped at the scene in the living room. Dad was sitting on the floor, playing with blocks with Haley's 5-year-old son, Ryan. Come on, Ryan, try stacking one more. Great job, you could be an architect. 3-year-old Sophia was clapping and laughing. Mom entered the living room after us and sat on the sofa, trying to maintain composure. Next to her, Haley was looking at her smartphone. Mom and Dad are watching the kids for me, so it's such a help, Haley said without looking up from her screen. I have a terrible headache and want to go to bed early tonight. Olivia reached her little hand toward her grandmother. Grandma? Mom wouldn't even look at her. In that moment, the fog of 6 years cleared all at once. I had always been their ATM, not their daughter. What's going on here? My voice trembled. Dad looked up, guilt briefly crossing his face. Jessica, I didn't know you were stopping by. Haley didn't even look up. Mom and Dad are watching the kids tonight. I have a terrible headache and need rest. 6 years of memories exploded in my head. The $1,600 monthly automatic transfers, emergency additional support, unappreciated sacrifices, and now this blatant inequality. Everything condensed into this one moment. Daniel placed his hand on my back. A silent, "I'm here. I see this too." I pulled my daughter closer to my chest, and when I spoke, a surprisingly calm voice emerged. "Now I understand. I was always your bank, not your daughter." Mom's face turned red. "Don't be dramatic, Jessica. This isn't about money. No, this is about value. And apparently, I only have value when I'm paying your bills." I turned to Daniel. He was already holding Olivia's bag. No words were needed. We turned on our heels and left. The drive home was filled with heavy silence. Daniel held my hand. "Are you okay?" "More than okay," I answered. For the first time, I know exactly what I need to do. Something was shifting inside me. The wounds remained. Throbbing wounds that needed tending. But underneath, something strong was taking root. A clarity and purpose I hadn't felt in years. That night, after putting Olivia to bed, I opened my laptop in the dark living room. My daughter's monitor hummed quietly, her soft breathing providing a rhythmic counterpoint to my typing. I logged into the bank portal. The familiar page where I'd made endless payments to maintain my parents' lifestyle for 6 years. 6 years of monthly deductions lined up on the screen. Each one a small betrayal I'd imposed on myself. "Are you sure about this?" Daniel's voice came from behind me. I nodded, still not trusting my voice. I pulled up my parents' automatic rent payment. $1,200, scheduled like clockwork. The cursor blinked over the cancel payment button. "Completely sure," I whispered and clicked. A warning appeared. "Are you sure you want to cancel this recurring payment?" I'd never been more certain about anything. Click. The utilities followed. $150 for electricity and water. $100 for the phone plan. $150 for car insurance. Each cancellation felt like cutting a cord that had been wrapped around my chest for years. And with each severed connection, I could breathe a little deeper. I opened 6 years of bank statements and created a spreadsheet, meticulously documenting each payment, each transfer, each loan. The $120,000 figure that had floated in my head was too generous an estimate. Every time I traced the records, forgotten transfers and advances kept appearing, and reality produced a more brutal number. The total glowed at the bottom of the screen, $121,840. That number no longer shocked me. What shocked me was how blind I'd been. Finally, I sent a message to the family group chat. "Please take care of yourselves from now on." After sending it, I systematically blocked all their numbers. First Mom, then Dad. I hesitated at Haley's contact, then blocked her too. The act felt both cruel and necessary, like cauterizing a wound. "Come to bed," Daniel whispered, taking my hand. "Tomorrow's going to be a long day." At 6:37 a.m. the next morning, my phone exploded with notifications. I'd blocked all their numbers. So they used relatives and friends' phones, even pay phones, employing every means to contact me and bypass the blocks. Calls from unknown numbers, voicemails, text messages from email addresses I'd barely recognized as belonging to family. While Daniel made coffee, I read through them, my stomach tightening with each message. Mom's voice in the first voicemail, feigning worry and confusion. "Jessica, there must be some mistake with the rent payment. The landlord called saying it didn't go through. Call me right away." By the third voicemail, Mom's tone had shifted. "Jessica, I don't know what game you're playing, but we might get evicted." "Is that what you want?" Dad was curt. An email sent at 11:42, probably immediately after discovering the cancellations. "You can't cut us off without warning." A text from an unknown number I recognized as Haley's backup. "Stop being mean just because Mom and Dad aren't your favorites. They need help." I put the phone down, my hand steadier than I'd expected. They'd noticed, and they were refusing to face reality. "Are you okay?" Daniel looked at me with worried eyes. "I think I am," surprising myself with that truth. 3 weeks later, the battlefield shifted to social media. When Daniel showed me his phone, His expression was grim. "You need to see this." My mother's Facebook post glowed on the screen. A masterpiece of manipulation. My heart is heavy today. My daughter, who has so much money, abandoned us in our time of need without warning or explanation. Money really changes people. Please pray for our family during this difficult time. 67 sympathetic comments had already poured in from people who'd known me my whole life. Church members, family friends, distant relatives. "I'm so sorry you're going through this, Deborah. Some children forget where they came from. I never expected this from Jessica. So disappointed. You raised her better than this." Below that, Haley's calculated comment. "She's always been selfish, even toward her own family. Having money made it worse." My hands shook as I scrolled through the public humiliation. The coffee I drunk threatened to come back up. "That's why I told you to document everything," Daniel said gently, taking the phone back. They were always going to do this. My own phone rang with a text from my colleague Marissa, who'd seen the post. "Are you okay? Saw the family drama online. Call if you need to talk." Then another notification. A message from my therapist, Dr. Chen. "I saw your mother's post being shared. I remember we discussed boundaries. This reaction further validates your decision." Surprisingly, a message from my childhood friend Katie, who'd moved away years ago. "Your mom's post is making the rounds. Just so you know. We all saw how they treated you growing up. Stay strong." I took a deep breath and opened my laptop again. "What are you doing?" Daniel asked. "Assembling evidence." I logged into cloud storage and created a folder called Family Financial Records. Bank statement PDFs, screenshots of hundreds of text messages, all one-sided demands, photos of family events I wasn't invited to, but Haley was, spreadsheets calculating years of total support. And the most hurtful detail, the text exchange when I was denied an invitation to Olivia's second birthday party because they were too busy, yet attended Haley's son's soccer game the same weekend. "Do you really want to do this?" Daniel asked as I began drafting my counterattack post. I met his eyes and found a certainty I'd never felt before. They can't rewrite history. Not anymore. My fingers flew across the keyboard, creating the post that would change everything. Facebook post, Jessica Taylor. "Let me be clear. Over the past 6 years, I have provided my parents with $121,840. Rent, utilities, car insurance, phone bills, and countless emergencies. This was taken directly from each paycheck I received, paid instead of my daughter's college fund. Last night, I asked them to watch my 2-year-old daughter for just one night during an important career presentation. I was told, 'We're not your babysitters.' At the same time, they were caring for my sister's children for free. Evidence is available. Bank records, text messages, emails. 6 years of documented one-sided financial support. I am nobody's bank." Below the post, I attached key evidence. Spreadsheets showing 6 years of totals, screenshots of monthly automatic transfers, and the most painful details of all. I clicked Post. The response was immediate. What began as a single post of truth ignited something uncontrollable. My post's comment section transformed overnight. Where there had once been accusations of my selfishness, an army of supporters now stood. Mom's tennis partner Diane was defending me. Half of Mom's acquaintances were expressing shock. I scanned names I recognized from childhood birthday parties and holiday gatherings. People who'd known my family for years were finally seeing behind the curtain. Even Haley's friends were jumping ship. 3 people had unfollowed her just yesterday. I read the comments. "Thank you for having the courage to say what many of us can't. I've been paying my brother's mortgage for 5 years. Your story gave me courage. Your mom was bragging about her vacation at my book club last month while complaining that you don't help enough. Hypocrite." My mouth went dry. This wasn't supposed to happen. Daniel squeezed my shoulder. Maybe it needed to happen. My phone rang again. The 14th call from Mom in the past hour. I silenced it and watched a text message appear instead. Jessica, delete that post immediately. Your father's blood pressure is dangerously high from this public humiliation. If something happens to him, is this how you want to be remembered? Call now. Before the familiar knot of guilt could form in my chest, I recognized the manipulation. Dad's blood pressure problems always appeared whenever accountability approached, a convenient illness. I deleted the message without responding. My colleagues also created an unexpected buffer. Jenna intercepted Haley in the lobby, and Marco diverted calls from my parents' numbers. They called my work, I told Daniel, my voice surprisingly steady. It was crossing a line. Mom had shown up at my office and been escorted out by security. According to Megan in accounting, Mom had been crying, claiming I was having some kind of mental breakdown. My boss showed understanding. Family situations can be more difficult than any project deadline. Take the time you need. Haley's been calling from various numbers since I blocked her, I continued. Their landlord called asking if I was still handling their rent. 3 months after that day, the attacks took new forms. Haley's telling people you're having a mental health crisis, Daniel said, scrolling through his phone. Your cousin Evan messaged me. Apparently, she's saying maternal stress made you unstable, and that's why you suddenly cut them off. I felt my face heat with anger. She's trying to destroy my reputation. And your mother's sister called you, Daniel continued, his voice tightening. She said if you continue this, we shouldn't expect to be part of the family. Is that supposed to be a threat? I asked, finding unexpected strength in my voice. Being cut off from a family that only sees me as an ATM? That night, I woke up to 14 new voicemails and a text mentioning Dad's name from a hospital. My heart contracted painfully until I saw the 3:17 a.m. timestamp. A quick call to the hospital confirmed my suspicions. Richard Taylor had not been admitted last night. Enough, I said, setting the phone on the kitchen counter and looking at Daniel. I need a new number. He was already reaching for his keys and nodding. I'm also researching home security systems. In Dr. Chen's office, I spoke aloud for the first time. She specialized in family issues and understood my situation immediately. I still feel guilty, like I violated some fundamental law of nature by not setting myself on fire to keep them warm. She nodded. That guilt was intentionally installed. It's their most effective control mechanism. Mom showed up at my office again yesterday. Security had to physically block her. How did that make you feel? Embarrassed. Then angry. I straightened my spine. Then certain. I talked about Daniel confronting Dad in the office parking lot. The restraining order now drafted by a family law attorney. The locks I'd changed. The security cameras we'd installed. You're building boundaries, Dr. Chen observed. Not walls, but healthy boundaries. Late that night, watching Olivia play with blocks on the living room floor, I opened my laptop one last time. My fingers hovered over the social media accounts where the war had begun. With 3 clicks, I deactivated everything. The silence felt sacred. Daniel sat next to me and wrapped his arm around my shoulder. Are you okay? More than okay. I leaned into him, watching our daughter stack red and blue blocks into a wobbling tower. I'm free. The tower collapsed with Olivia's delighted shriek. Without hesitation, she began rebuilding. This time with a wider, stronger base. I smiled at the metaphor life had literally placed before me. Sometimes everything has to fall apart before you can build something that will actually stand. 10 months after that day, I got promoted. Senior Marketing Director. Now that I wasn't managing my parents' financial crises, I was working 10 hours less per week. My productivity had skyrocketed. My flow of ideas was no longer interrupted by frantic calls about overdrawn accounts and missed utility payments. I opened the banking app, still not used to seeing the balance. The absence of those automatic transfers had created breathing room I'd forgotten existed. Should we book that mountain weekend? Daniel asked with a cautious smile on his lips. The cabin with the little fireplace we thought we couldn't afford. Let's actually do it. I thought about the daycare brochure sitting on the counter. the one with music programs and outdoor classrooms, the one I dismissed as too expensive. Now it was possible. The following weekend, I opened a dedicated college fund for Olivia. The first deposit of $1,600 felt monumental. Every month going forward, the money that had disappeared into my parents' bottomless needs would instead secure my daughter's future. According to neighborhood gossip, my parents had started looking for jobs. Sarah told me yesterday at the supermarket. Her voice was a practiced whisper. She'd been Mom's tennis partner for 15 years. Your father interviewed at the hardware store. Your mother applied to a call center. I nodded while picking apples, keeping my face carefully neutral. Good to hear. What I didn't say. It took 2 months. Exactly 8 weeks to exhaust their emergency options and face reality. What I didn't say. They were in their early 50s, not their 70s. They should have been employed all along. What I didn't say. Haley finally had to start paying for her own children's expenses. That night, Sarah reluctantly shared another story. Your mom's really changed, they say. She's nothing like her flashy self from before. A neighbor said she saw her crying while sorting through old clothes yesterday, muttering, I used my daughter's money to buy all this stuff. Something warm bloomed in my chest. Not healing, but perhaps the beginning of it. Changes had occurred at work too. My colleagues understood the situation and had come to respect my boundaries. My boss also showed consideration, saying, take the time you need. Grandma? Olivia would sometimes ask, her little face full of curiosity. See Grandma today? Each time, the question cut deep. Not for me, but for her. She was innocent in all this. Too young to understand the complexities of how adult relationships had become toxic. Not today, sweetheart, I'd tell her, redirecting her attention to blocks or books or the swing in the backyard. In therapy, I was learning this wasn't selfish. It was protection. When I ran into my high school English teacher at the grocery store, she pulled me into a fierce hug. I heard what happened, she whispered. My sister did the same thing to me for years. Walking away saved my life. I hadn't known there were others. That this had a name, financial abuse. That the cold clarity I'd felt in my parents' living room that day wasn't unique to me. I was never the problem, I told Daniel late that night. The revelation's still fresh. For years, I thought if I just gave enough, did enough, I could fix everything. He pulled me closer. You fixed the one thing you could control, your participation in their system. My therapist explained it to me. You're rebuilding your identity. The caretaker role had consumed you. Now you're discovering who Jessica is when she's not responsible for someone else's choices. Who was Jessica? A woman who slept through the night without anxiety dreams about unpaid bills. A mother who was present for bath time instead of being on the phone solving someone else's crisis. A wife who had energy for date nights. A professional recognized for her own talents. The most unexpected result. I liked this version of myself. A year and a half after that day, we moved into a new house. Our house, with Daniel's and my names on the deed. I traced my finger along the freshly painted wall of our new living room, still marveling that this space was ours. Morning light streamed through windows that didn't face another apartment building, instead revealing the small maple tree in our yard. Where do you want this? Daniel held last year's Christmas family photo. The three of us laughing, Olivia's chubby hands clutching her new stuffed giraffe. By the stairs, where I'll see it every morning. Our photo wall now told the truth of our family. No obligatory portraits that included people who saw me as a walking checkbook, with 4 smiles hiding resentment. Only people who truly loved us. My blog, Breaking the Chains of Financial Caretaking, had grown, and my support group now had 47 members. People in similar situations discovering they weren't alone. My phone lit up with a message. This time, from a new member of my support group. I read your story and found courage. Tomorrow I'm telling my brother, I can't lend money anymore. Thank you. Tonight I was speaking at the community center. 23 people had registered for my workshop, From family bank to financial freedom. The slides were already on my laptop, starting with my bank statements from a year ago and ending with today's savings report. Undeniable evidence of transformation. "What are you thinking?" Daniel asked. He always knew when my mind was working. "I'm grateful," I said, leaning into him. Not for what happened, but for what I discovered through it. My gaze moved around our new home, with the paint we'd chosen together, the future we were intentionally building. "And what's that?" "My value wasn't in what I could give," I told him, turning to meet his eyes. "It was in who I am." Olivia ran in from the kitchen, showing me a drawing covered in purple crayon. "Mommy, look, it's beautiful. Let's put it on the refrigerator." At 3 years old, she already understood more than I had at 30. When she shared juice with a friend and didn't get a thank you, she'd firmly teach them proper manners. "When someone shares, you say thank you," she told her friend firmly last week. Sometimes I got managed contact from Mom. "Saturday this week, same time. Found a book Olivia might like." I'd reply, 10 a.m. works. Remember, Daniel will be there too. The boundaries held. Weekly supervised visits. No financial talk whatsoever. If she wanted to see her granddaughter, she had to follow my rules. My father chose estrangement over explanation. Some days his absence still hurt. Other days I was grateful for the clarity. Haley called sometimes, and our conversations were careful but less hostile. Last month she admitted, "I never realized how much you were caring for all of us." The family had split along new lines. People willing to face reality versus those clinging to old dynamics. I found I didn't mind the imperfect resolution. Some relationships might never heal, and that was okay. Outside the window, Daniel was pushing Olivia on the swing set we'd installed last weekend. Something I could suddenly afford after I stopped paying my parents' rent. In the corner of the yard, the tomato seedlings we'd planted together were bearing their first small fruit. Still green, but full of promise. Next month, they'd ripen red and grace our table. Something we'd grown with our own hands. Our harvest alone, never to be taken by anyone. A while later, Olivia's laughter echoed through the house. The two of them had tired of playing and came back inside. In the living room, Olivia began playing with blocks. When the tower fell, she laughed and started building again. This time with a wider, stronger foundation. Without hesitation, aiming for a better structure. I smiled at the metaphor life had literally placed before me. Sometimes everything has to fall apart before you can build something that will actually stand. My new phone sat quietly on the table. No demands, no guilt, no manipulation. Just space to breathe, time to rebuild, and finally the freedom to live. Outside, spring was unfolding in our small garden. Next weekend, we planned to plant vegetables. Growing things that would nourish us. Things that would be here next season too. Roots extending into the soil. Boundaries clearly marked by neat wooden frames. Not every bridge could be rebuilt. Some needed to remain burned. Knowing the difference was its own kind of freedom. I was never the problem. For years, I thought if I just gave enough, did enough, I could fix everything. But I only fixed one thing: my participation in their system. And now, for the first time, completely, without doubt, I knew I had made the right choice.